Hey guys, Steve-O here. How is it already another new season? Mad. So I've been playing football for 20 years now. I've been in goal for about 15 of those years, so mostly been a goalkeeper my entire life. Today I thought I'd talk about some of the things I have in my kit bag, things that I've taken from many years of playing, both at a relatively decent level when I was a bit younger and, well, right now. This will be an insight into what an amateur goalkeeper has in their kit. It also gives me the opportunity to talk about some of my new gear going into next season, which I'm really excited to share with you guys. So I've got a couple of new pairs of gloves to show you, a new pair of boots to show you, which I'm really excited about, as well as just being able to show you guys exactly what I have in my kit bag. So I guess the first thing to talk about, the most important part of any football player's kit, the boots. So I have two pairs of boots right now. I have a soft ground boot, which have got metal studs, and I have firm ground boots as well. So these are molds. These are for when the ground's rock hard, which last season was basically every Saturday, which was a bloody nightmare. But the one thing I did want to point out is that these boots are not built for artificial grass, and that is our home pitch. So you can see here the stitching is coming away from the base of the boot. It catches along the floor when I try and kick. So if I'm trying to kick off the floor, it will scrape along the floor. And it's just, yeah, it's just not very good, which is a shame because I love these boots. I'm a massive Adidas fan, as you can see. Adidas. Huge fan of Predators especially. I've always been a big fan of David Beckham. You know, I'm from that era. Before I was a goalkeeper, I really wanted to be Beckham, so I'd play right mid, I'd wear Predators, I would do the really weird Mohican style that he had at the time. So yeah, big fanboy. And yeah, I absolutely love these boots, to be fair. Like, if I could continue wearing these, then I absolutely would, but with that, I can't. So it's time to show what we've got for next season. And like I said, I am really excited about these. I've been doing a lot of research into boots and I've been looking into it, and I had no idea that there were boots made for artificial grass. I thought that that's what these were for. I thought they were for hard ground and artificial grass. I've done some research into it, and yeah, turns out those are not the boots. These are the boots. And would you look at that? Adidas. What a surprise. So let's get these bad boys out of the box. We've got a nice little drawstring bag here. Great. That's probably never going to get worn, but thank you for that, Adidas. Much appreciated. Here we go. Look at these. So yeah, again, Adidas, Predators, because I'm a basic bitch. But these ones are made for artificial grass, which is obviously great for me. My home pitch is artificial grass. I'll be playing on that for at least half of the games this season. So very important to have that piece of footwear available. Fresh pair of boots. I always get excited whenever it's a new boot time. You can see that the first Predator actually came out in 1994, which is the year of my birth. So yeah, intrinsically linked to Adidas Predators, you could say. Always been a big fan of these. And these will be the first things that will go into my kit bag. So as well as the hard ground boots, we now have the artificial grass boots. So that'll be the first thing that goes in the kit bag. We've got our boots, the most important part of the kit bag for a footballer, but for a goalkeeper, there's something that I would say eclipses the importance of the boots: the gloves. Now, similar to the Adidas love I have for my boots, I'm very much a Sells guy when it comes to gloves. You'll notice in last season's videos, every single game I'm wearing a pair of Sells gloves. So yeah, I'm very much a big fan of Sells. Again, it's a brand of glove that I've always worn since I was a kid. And I've always just preferred wearing gloves made by goalkeeper specific brands, which I know sounds a bit weird, but I think for me, it's just that feeling of knowing that they're specifically targeted at goalkeepers in past experience, and I'm going to sound very hypocritical soon. Boot manufacturers or manufacturers of general sportswear don't tend to make the best goalkeeper equipment. So I've always been with Sells. I've dabbled with Reusch and a bit of UHL Sport as well when I was a lot younger, but ever since I hit about 20, always been with Sells. Now you can see these are a little bit knackered. They've had a fair bit of wear and tear. This is only from 6 months worth of usage, so I actually got these in January. Not only do I wear my gloves and my boots for training and matches for my Saturday team, but also for when I play small-sided games midweek, so they get absolutely knackered. So part of the reason why I've gone a little bit all out with this setup is it gives me the ability to have a dedicated set for mucking around in, essentially, and for ruining, which will be these and these. But yeah, so those will be my muck around bits of kit, stuff that I don't really care about scuffing up, I don't really care about ruining. I'm not too bothered about performing my absolute best in these because it's, you know, it's a kicker out with my mates, something along those lines. So not too worried about the performance, so to speak, in those. For my Saturday team, I always want to be on the top of my game, which is why I've invested in some new weapons. So as I was saying, I am a bit of a hypocrite. I have gone for some Adidas gloves. I wanted to try something new. So like I said, I've always been a big sales person. I've not really deviated from sales in the last like 10 years, showing my age a bit there. But I thought this time, let's get something that matches my boots. Oh, look at those bad boys. Looking good. Very interesting raised bumps on the back of the hand there for punching crosses and stuff. You can tell the modern goalkeeper is a lot more around punching than catching when it comes to crossing. Looking pretty good. Now, little spoiler, as you can see, I have actually already got these out and just removed the peelies from them. Some new weaponry for next season. Very interested to see how they get on. Let's see how they stand up in a little handling test. Pretty good, I have to say. Obviously, I was only filming in my back garden, did a couple of catches, nothing too crazy, but I have to say, I actually felt really good in these. Maybe I've been looking at it wrong in terms of like non-goalkeeper specific manufacturers, but yeah, these just felt really, really grippy. I felt like I wasn't gonna drop the ball in these, and bear in mind, I haven't washed these yet. I haven't done the proper glove care on these. I've just taken the peelies off and gone and caught a couple of balls, so I haven't done anything crazy. But yeah, they just felt really good. I'll be interested obviously to see what happens when I put them into practice, which, spoilers, pre-season training starts in a couple of weeks, so keep an eye out for that content. I'll be bringing you some pre-season training and just kind of, again, a little bit of a dive into what amateur goalkeepers get up to. And you know, I can always compare them to what the pros are getting up to, which if you're interested in that, please do let me know. Glove set number 1. And for glove set number 2, as I mentioned, basic bitch. Yeah, obviously I couldn't invest in a new set of gloves and not go for a pair of cells. One thing I will say actually around goalkeeper gloves is I think people undervalue the type of gloves. So there's obviously so many different, there's hybrid, negative, more fancy modern ones like pistol cut. And the first goalie gloves that I wore when I started back with Revo last season were pistol grip. I'd only ever worn them for small-sided games, so I'd only worn them for 40 or so minutes at a time. And what I found when I started wearing them for a full 90 or when it went into extra time in cup matches, that the bit between my fingers would really start to get sore. And that's because this part here in the pistol grip I found was really digging into my fingers. So when I got a new pair of gloves in January, I went for a more traditional cut. So the middle fingers are a negative cut, the outside is a sort of roll finger cut, so a hybrid, which I always find very useful, that extra grip. You can see I've kind of gone for something similar here with the roll finger, thumb, and a negative cut on the inside. That's a lovely, always lovely unsheathing. More cells, again, pretty standard in terms of the cut, nothing too fancy, just a more pure roll finger cut on these ones. Same size as the Adidas ones, so if I hold them next to each other, they're the same size, but you can see that this has got a lot more bulk to it than this. Personal preference on that, I've always preferred a tighter fit on my gloves. I just feel like I'm less likely for it to slip out. For these ones, which will be my training gloves, and these ones, which will be my match gloves, I think it's important to have a bit of extra padding in your training gloves to protect your fingers and your wrist than in your match gloves, when hopefully you're doing a lot less than you would be in training. I mean, I'm a massive fan of cells. Hard recommend for me for cells. Like I said, I've been wearing them for years. One of the people who actually inspired me to do this channel, Ben Foster, he was a big fan of cells. So, and obviously I'm not Ben Foster, but it is a double endorsement of cells. So, and this isn't an ad, I have to just say, there's no paid advertisement for any of this stuff. This is just my experience as a goalkeeper, and hopefully it'll just give you guys some ideas, some inspiration. Like I said, I'm really excited to try these out, and I think having the matching red boot and glove combo could be quite nice for next season. That's what goes next in the kit bag. So next in the bag, we've got kit. Now obviously I don't need to supply a shirt, shorts, or like long socks. That's all provided by the club. But what I bring along for my own benefit are socks. So I have anti-slip socks, so socks with grips in the bottom. I wear these over my long socks, so if I can, I'll get socks that have got a bit cut out at the bottom, not cut myself, but actually like cut out purposely. So I'll put the long sock on first with my shin pads, which I'll get to shortly, and then I'll wear those over the top. It just helps with my feet not slipping around in the boot, which, considering we like playing out from the back, and I've always liked playing out from the back, it's really important to me that I don't feel like my boots are gonna slip off, and that I have full control over what I'm doing with my feet. So these are a really, really valuable part of the kit. Really recommend them for anyone, not just goalkeepers, any footballer that feels like their boots are slipping or anything like that, get a pair of them. And then when we're playing in England, it's pretty cold most of the time. So we obviously have thermals. Compression shorts here, and compression top here. Again, pretty straightforward. I've gone for a short sleeved one, because even at this level, if I wear a different color than my goalkeeper top for my thermals, the referee will tell me to take it off or roll it up or anything like that. So I just make it easier for everyone involved, and I'll wear a nice short sleeved one. So that's what's next in the kit bag. And last but certainly not least, we've got our peripherals, as I like to call them. So shin pads, tape, anything that you need to kind of make yourself feel better. So maybe that might be deep freeze like I have, or tiger balm, or things like that. So I'll just quickly rattle through the basic stuff, and I'd be surprised if you don't already have this, but you know, it's got to be done. So shin pads, shin pad holders, things like deep freeze and tiger balm, which if you don't know what tiger balm is, it's basically just like deep heat, but it's a bit more herbal. It's like it's an ointment essentially for injuries, and I've been using it most recently on my knee. So as I kind of mentioned before, I did have quite a bad knee injury towards the end of last season. So it's just one of those things that's just a bit mental, like feeling something on your knee makes me feel a lot safer. This one is a little bit different. I don't know many amateur players who would have this, but this is a Stat Sports pill. So this would go into a vest top or a thermal top, and it would basically track your steps and your movement and all of those kind of good statistics that you might want, just to kind of keep an eye on what you're doing. And I'll be using it in my pre-season training as well, so I can share those analytics with you in pre-season, just to kind of give you a window into what amateurs are doing in pre-season. And the very last thing to talk about is tape. Now, a lot of goalkeepers will tape their wrists and their fingers. As you can see from this little collection I've got here, I have all sorts of different tape, different shapes and sizes, different levels of usage. But yeah, so I'm pretty tape heavy, not just on my wrists and my fingers, I also tape my socks as well. I just like that security of having the shin pad holders that I showed you earlier and the tape on my socks, just to be 100% certain that my shin pad isn't shifting around. To give you an idea of how much tape I'll get through a season, here we go. This much tape. So this will be the last sort of thing that goes in the bag, other than obviously the kit, as I've kind of mentioned. This will go in the side bit rather than in the main bit. But yeah, again, if you're a goalkeeper and you're a bit worried about injury to your wrists or your fingers, highly recommend this tape. Obviously, I've just got some of the cheapo tape. I haven't got that special tape that the pros will have, but again, it's also a mental thing, like feeling a bit more secure in those areas will probably just make you feel a lot more comfortable as a goalkeeper. Might even get a little bit more on that fingertip save because you just feel like you can. I'll show you how I tape my wrists and my fingers. How do I tape my wrists? Well, very straightforward for the wrist taping especially. Just take the tape, start on the little nobule on your wrist, and then just go round. It really is that straightforward. So I tend to go down about there. Maybe one more, yeah. Tend to go down to about there, and then rip the tape off and secure. So I do that on both wrists, and just, yeah, like I say, just feels nice and tight. Nice little bit of extra strength in that wrist. You can still got that flexibility. I can still move my wrist and stuff as much as I would like. So that's what the big wrist tape is for, the little tape. So this is for the fingers. So you'll probably see the pro goalkeepers do something very similar. So I like to go around the knuckle, cross the knuckle, and then cross the knuckle. Like that. You can see I can still bend my finger fine, no issues at all, but it's just nice and solid. I do that on my index and my ring fingers, like so. So again, cross and cross. So you just leave a nice little space there for your knuckle to be able to move. And there you go, nice and solid. So I'm now ready to face a couple of strikers. Obviously there's a couple of things I haven't mentioned, so obviously there's all the GoPro equipment that I need to take with me. Things like a towel for my gloves when it's a bit rainy. Some goalkeepers will get specific glove drying towels. I'm quite happy with just a tea towel. So what's the future for Steve OGK? I'll be staying at Revo for another season following our successful season last year where we won a cup and gained promotion. So not a bad first season back for me. So I'll be bringing you highlights following that promotion, which will be in the Kent County Division 1. So there'll be some pre-season training. I'll be bringing you some POV videos of me wearing the GoPro, doing some keeper stuff, doing some non-keeper stuff, just really giving you guys an insight into what it's like playing at this level. Obviously I've got a full-time job outside of doing the football. I then have to spend time making and editing videos, so there's a lot that needs to be crammed into a small amount of time. So really excited to be able to show you guys a little window into what it's like to play football at this level and juggle all of this shit. Hope you've enjoyed it, guys, and I'll see you very soon.